Hello and welcome to a very special episode of World Traveler Cooking. This time we are going to make a very interesting German dish, which may surprise all of you. It's called cherry soup with semolina dumplings, or Kirschsuppe. Now, across Northern Europe you do see fruit soups common in the summer. These are often served either as a light meal, sometimes even as a main course, sometimes just as an appetizer, and sometimes as a dessert. And this dish can be used in all cases also. The ingredients are actually really simple, although it looks like we have a lot of them here. The fact is that we have the dumplings and the soup, and I will go through the ingredients of each. So for the dumplings we have 25 grams of semolina. We're going to use the yolk of 1 egg, about 125 milliliters of milk. Now for the main soup we have 250 grams of nice sweet black cherries. We have about 150 milliliters or so of water. We have vanilla sugar. I'll use maybe half a tablespoon or so, maybe another tablespoon, a tablespoon and a half of sugar here. And of course we'll use some cornstarch and some lemon zest, probably zest of maybe half of this lemon. So we'll go ahead and get started here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pit these cherries, and in fact I'll show you how to do this if you don't have a cherry pitting machine. All in fact you need are chopsticks. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So to pit these cherries, you basically remove the stem. It requires a nice ripe cherry, otherwise you're just going to break the cherry. But you can just push the stem out, or the pit out, just like that, and now we have the pitted cherry. And I'm going to do that with all the rest of these, and I will be back. So into our pot go our pitted cherries. And just as a note, cherry pitting takes some practice, but you can master it without too much difficulty. And then we will add the first part of our water. We will add also the lemon zest and some sugar. So the larger part of our water, that's 50 mils or so. And then we have somewhere between a teaspoon and a tablespoon of lemon zest. This is the zest of 1/2 of a lemon. Now, if you can't get fresh cherries, you can use canned. But if you use canned cherries, keep in mind they already have some sugar in them. So I'm just going to add just a bit of vanilla sugar. That should be between 1/2 and 1 tablespoon. And then about 1.5 tablespoons. This is a teaspoon measure, so I'm going to do 4 of these. And then I'm going to bring this on to boil. And once it boils, then I'll start adding the cornstarch. We'll go ahead and prepare that in the meantime. 1 tablespoon of cornstarch into the remaining water. So this is now boiling. I'm going to let it continue to boil just like this for about 15 minutes, and then I will be back to add the starch. If you add the starch too soon, then you just keep having to stir it to keep a skin forming on the top. But if you don't add it quite at the first, then you can wait a little bit. So I'll be back in 15 minutes. So here we're going to stir in the starch, and this is to thicken it. And from this point on, we kind of need to stir it occasionally, otherwise the skin will form on the top that we'd have to skim off. So from here on out, we just stir it a little bit periodically, let it thicken up nicely. You can see it's going to thicken up very quickly. And in about another 10 minutes we can just take this off the heat. So then once this is off the heat, I'm just going to put it in bowls, let it cool down. You'll note that this is actually more like a compote than a soup. You could probably do with a little less starch and make it a little thinner, but all the recipes that I've seen in German use these similar proportions. So on with the dumplings. So now to get the dumplings started, I've put my milk into the pot, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of sugar, or maybe half a tablespoon of sugar. And once this boils, then I'll stir in the semolina. So I'll be back when that's ready. So now this is simmering. We will stir in our semolina. And we're going to cook this for about 3 minutes and basically let it thicken up. And once it's thick, then we'll take it off the heat and stir in the egg yolk. Now it's been probably about 2 minutes, and this is actually getting thick enough that I don't want to do any more. So I'm going to take it off the heat now, and then we'll stir in the egg yolk. So, adding the egg yolk and mixing it well. You see we get something that's kind of a dough consistency already. And it's not going to take very much effort to get this to solidify in the water when we boil it. So here we are. Next up, we're going to boil this. So I'm going to put this into a bowl. I'm going to clean this pot out really quickly, and we'll be back to boil these dumplings. So now that the water's boiling, I'm going to take 2 spoons, I'm going to dip them in the water so they're moistened, and I'm going to take little bits of the semolina mixture, and with the spoons I'm going to shape them into oblong dumplings. I'm just going to put them in there. And we'll boil these for a couple minutes. And then these will cook for about 3 minutes. And once they've cooked for about 3 minutes, we're just going to remove them, kind of drain them a bit. And we will put them on top of the soup mixture. And here is our cherry soup. Next up, the taste test. And now for the taste test. First, I'm just going to taste some of this, what seems like more of a cherry compote in the soup. It was interesting. The cherry flavor is definitely there, but the lemon flavor is almost a little bit dominant, so is the vanilla. I kind of find that I'm starting to think that, in my views, there may be a little bit of overuse of vanilla sugar in some of these dishes. But it's still very, very good, very delicious, very light. In some ways it's lighter than just eating straight cherries. And I'm going to try some with the dumpling. That just adds a whole different dimension to it also. It even brings out the cherry flavor a little more. So yeah, it's really, really good. If you find this interesting, I hope, please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know that you like it. Additionally, if you make a dish like this and you do it differently than I do, please describe how you do it differently in the comments. I think we're all enriched by seeing, different people's techniques and so forth. At any rate, recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.